All right, look at the White House, or near the White House right now. The president's meeting with the Business Roundtable. He has these semi-regular powwows with corporate chieftains and the like. The Chamber of Commerce Business Roundtable. There's the National American Association of Business Honchos. Do you know hedge fund managers have their own little association? It's called Obscenely Rich Guys Association. That's a joke. But anyway, a lot of these guys think this meeting and this powwow is a joke because they don't think the president's serious about their interest or hearing them out. They don't like being vilified. And MacGuineas, with the Center for Responsible Federal Budget, says that on this particular issue, they might have a point. You know, it's always good to meet with the corporate community, I guess, but a lot of these guys, especially those who passed an invitation to go, feel like they're spinning their wheels, and that this is not a president who's receptive, especially now in his last 16 or so months. What do you think?
Well, I think the unfortunate situation is that with a lot of business leaders, to generalize, and the White House, it seems like the agendas really aren't aligned with each other anymore. And what, from my sense, business leaders care about the most right now is how do we grow our economy? How do we secure the recovery? How do we enhance our competitiveness? How do we deal with the fiscal challenges facing the country? And how do we get the government back working? How do we actually get it to function so we can see much of anything?
Is the president going to make now at this stage to change the playing field or the dynamic? He's not going to cut taxes. He's not going to address capital gains. He's not going to ease up on the regulations. Now, whether you're for or against it, I'm not making a political point here as much as this is what they have been complaining about, that the president's piled all this on them, and that's besides the rhetoric that paints some, not all, as just being greedy fat cats. How does that change the tone?
Well, I think what's going to happen is you're not going to see the White House making many concessions. I think the White House is on track, working on its agenda, and it's basically not going to be particularly relevant to business leaders or to the country in that not much is going to get done. And I think focus is shifting rightly to the presidential campaign. What are the candidates talking about, and who's going to be talking about messages that are good for businesses, that are good for American families, that are good for the country, that actually have a chance of moving forward? Because the White House is in its last years, and you know, let's face it, not much is going to happen in Washington in the coming months.
How do these guys feel about Donald Trump, the front runner right now, who doesn't necessarily drink from the same well as a lot of these business titans? He wants to raise taxes on those who, that is, Trump says, ship jobs overseas. And he's been very, very critical about hedge fund managers. Many CEOs have, by the way, and would be open to a tax on the very rich. So how do they feel about him? He's not quite your typical Republican standard bearer.
No, he's not. And again, I would say business leaders aren't a monolithic group. They're all going to have different points of view. But they have a very good understanding of policy. And one thing we haven't heard yet much coming out of this campaign is, from Donald Trump, the details of any policies. We did hear a detailed tax plan from Governor Bush last week. We haven't heard that level of specificity from Donald Trump or some of the other frontrunners. And I think people are withholding judgment until they really get a sense of what would you do on the economy, what would you do on the budget, what would you do on national security. And we're going to need more details to have a real policy conversation. I doubt we're going to see that in the debate tonight, but we're going to, for voters to really have a sense of what they're signing up for with different candidates.
Maya, thank you very, very much. All right, now, to Maya's point, though, if you are waiting